The old pickup truck rattled along the winding road, carrying me, Abigail Thorne, back to Havenwood Creek. A journalist by trade, I usually chased urban chaos, yet here I was, drawn by a quiet unease. The Welcome to Havenwood sign flickered erratically, its neon glow struggling against the encroaching twilight. The town itself, quaint and seemingly peaceful, felt strangely still, almost as if holding its breath. Standing before my grandfather Arthur's simple gravestone, a wave of profound guilt washed over me. I hadn't visited in years, consumed by my career, and now it was too late. The air hung heavy and cold, a tangible weight pressing down, mirroring the melancholy in my chest. His passing, an alleged accidental fall, felt too sudden, too final, for a man so full of life and curious inquiry. Later in the town square, my journalistic instincts pricked at a peculiar detail. The grand public clock, an ornate fixture of Havenwood, suddenly stuttered. Its second hand jumped backward 3 ticks before correcting itself with an audible click. I blinked, wondering if I had imagined it, but the disquieting anomaly lingered, a tiny, unsettling crack in the town's placid facade. Sheriff Brody, a broad-shouldered man with a weary face, offered his condolences in his cluttered office. He stated, with a finality that brooked no argument, that Arthur's death was an accidental fall. Despite his polite tone, his eyes held a dismissive weariness, as if my questions were an inconvenience. His words, however, only solidified my growing suspicion. Something felt profoundly wrong about this accident. Unconvinced by Brody's definitive pronouncement, I decided to extend my stay. My grandfather's old house, a Victorian relic, stood silent and dust-laden, yet brimming with his presence. Bookshelves overflowed with esoteric tomes, and strange scientific instruments lay draped under sheets, hinting at his eccentric pursuits. I knew, with a journalist's certainty, that the answers I sought lay hidden within these walls. Arthur's study was a sanctuary of his intellect, his desk precisely as he had left it. Amongst scattered notes and a magnifying glass, my gaze fell upon a heavy, leather-bound journal. Its brass clasp gleamed faintly in the dim light, promising secrets. A surge of hopeful anticipation filled me. Perhaps this was the key to understanding his final, mysterious days. Driven by intuition, I opened a hidden drawer beneath the desk. Nestled within, I discovered a palm-sized geode, unremarkable on the outside, yet its split interior pulsed with deep violet, almost black crystals. As my fingers closed around it, a faint, low vibration hummed through my hand, more felt than heard. It was a mysterious, tactile sensation, unlike anything I had ever encountered. Back at the desk, I began to read Arthur's journal. The pages were densely filled with spidery handwriting, intricate diagrams of constellations, and meticulous notes. Phrases like temporal dissonance and frequency alignment recurred, making little sense initially. Despite the academic complexity, I sensed a profound, unsettling truth hidden within his cryptic observations. Seeking a moment of normalcy, I ventured to the local diner for coffee. The waitress, a kind woman named Sarah, approached my table. She asked, "Can I get you anything else, dear?" Then, moments later, asked the exact same question, with no memory of having just spoken. The disorienting repetition left me feeling profoundly uneasy, a surreal echo of the stuttering clock. Back in the quiet study, the diner incident replaying in my mind, suddenly aligning with Arthur's notes. Temporal dissonance. The words now resonated with chilling clarity.
I looked at the harmonic geode resting on the desk. Its faint hum seemed subtly louder now, a deeper vibration in the air. A dawning realization settled upon me. Havenwood wasn't just strange, it was broken. Abigail sought answers from the town's oldest residents, hoping their memories held clues about Arthur's peculiar research. She approached an elderly woman, Martha, tending her garden, asking about her grandfather's studies. Martha's kind expression immediately hardened, her eyes darting away nervously. Other townsfolk, previously amiable, became evasive, offering vague dismissals and turning their backs. Abigail felt the town's collective silence pressing in, a wall of unspoken secrets. As Abigail walked down the main street, Mayor Caldwell emerged from the general store, his presence imposing. He greeted her with a polite, yet chillingly firm smile. Mayor Caldwell expressed condolences for Arthur, then smoothly transitioned, suggesting Abigail should let her grandfather's memory rest. His words, though outwardly sympathetic, carried an undeniable undercurrent of warning, urging her to leave Havenwood Creek and its secrets undisturbed.
Feeling an unsettling sensation of being constantly observed, Abigail sought refuge and answers in the Havenwood Public Library. The old building, with its towering shelves, exuded a pervasive sense of aged paper and dust. Light filtered dimly through tall, grimy windows, illuminating motes dancing in the heavy air. The profound silence within its walls felt less comforting and more like another layer of the town's guarded atmosphere. Abigail meticulously sifted through brittle, yellowed town ledgers, her fingers tracing faded, spidery script. Hours passed as she delved into forgotten records of land grants and early settlements. Finally, in a particularly thick, leather-bound ledger, she discovered a small, almost illegible footnote. It stated that the original Havenwood charter had been moved from its public display to the secure town hall archives for preservation. As Abigail exited the library, the knowledge of the charter burning in her mind, Sheriff Brody's patrol car pulled silently to the curb. He rolled down the window, his weathered face etched with a weary but firm expression. Sheriff Brody directly warned her that delving into Havenwood's history was ill-advised. He stressed that some things were better left undisturbed, implying her investigations were causing significant unease within the community. Back at Arthur's quiet, dust-moted house, a wave of profound exhaustion washed over Abigail. As she sat, a vivid, overwhelming memory surfaced, transporting her back in time. She saw herself, younger and dismissive, arguing passionately with Arthur in this very room. She had urged him to abandon his fanciful notions about temporal anomalies, concerned for his reputation, now deeply regretting her inability to truly listen. As the emotional intensity of the flashback peaked, Abigail noticed a subtle shift in her surroundings. From the coffee table beside her, the harmonic geode began to glow. A faint, pulsing violet light emanated from its deep violet crystals, seemingly synchronizing with the vividness of her memory. The low hum she sometimes felt now became distinctly audible, a resonant frequency in the quiet room. The glowing geode sparked a profound realization within Abigail. This artifact was intrinsically linked to Havenwood's temporal anomalies. With newfound determination, she consciously focused on another strong memory, a specific, intricate diagram from her grandfather's journal. As she concentrated, the geode's violet light intensified further, becoming a vibrant, steady glow. Its low hum vibrated through the air, transforming into a distinct, resonant frequency that she could feel in her bones. Mayor Caldwell's veiled threats and Sheriff Brody's explicit warning, Abigail knew official access to the Havenwood Charter was impossible. She paced her grandfather's living room, her mind racing, connecting the disparate pieces of information she had gathered. She realized she must devise an unconventional approach, perhaps even an infiltration, to examine the document her grandfather had so desperately sought. Her determination hardened into a cunning, resolute plan. Abigail found Sheriff Brody at his office, its interior stark and quiet. Without preamble, she opened Arthur's journal, presenting him with pages filled with complex diagrams and meticulous notes on temporal fluctuations. She pleaded with him to consider the profound implications of her grandfather's findings. Sheriff Brody studied the journal, his weathered face etched with genuine trouble and internal conflict, yet he remained stubbornly silent, unable or unwilling to break the town's unspoken code. Hours blurred into a single-minded pursuit as I meticulously cross-referenced Arthur's cryptic notes with local historical records. Then, tucked between 2 pages describing Havenwood's earliest settlers, I found it, a meticulously drawn diagram. It depicted a light source passing through a crystalline object, projecting an image onto a piece of parchment. A sudden, profound realization struck me. This was a key, a hidden instruction for the harmonic geode.
That night, a desperate urgency propelled me towards the town hall. I knew Mayor Caldwell wouldn't grant me access to the archives, given his secrecy, so I had to find another way. The old building stood silent under the moonlight, its windows dark and uninviting. Using a set of lock-picking tools I had surprisingly kept from a college elective, I slipped through a side entrance, the click echoing loudly in the stillness. Inside, the archive room was a labyrinth of towering filing cabinets, shrouded in an unsettling darkness. My grandfather's journal had hinted at a secure repository for Havenwood's most vital documents, and I found it tucked away behind a false panel. It was a heavy, iron-bound box secured with an elaborate antique lock. My fingers, though trembling slightly with anticipation, moved with practiced precision. Each subtle click of the tumblers resonated in the oppressive silence, a small victory against the town's guarded secrets. Finally, with a soft thud, the old lock yielded. With bated breath, I retrieved the Havenwood Charter from its protective casing. It was an ancient parchment scroll, brittle with age, its edges frayed and yellowed. As I carefully unrolled it on a dusty table, my initial excitement waned. At first glance, it appeared to be nothing more than a standard founding document, detailing property lines and civic duties in formal, archaic script. My grandfather had mentioned its hidden depths, however, so I knew there had to be more.
Remembering the precise diagram from Arthur's journal, a fresh wave of determination washed over me. I retrieved the harmonic geode from my coat pocket, its rough exterior a stark contrast to the smooth, cool glass of my phone. Aligning the geode with the charter, I carefully positioned my phone's flashlight directly behind the split crystal. The violet interior of the geode seemed to pulse, absorbing the phone's harsh white light and transforming it into something else entirely. As the transformed light washed over the parchment, a breathtaking transformation occurred. Faint, glowing lines began to materialize on the reverse side of the charter, forming an intricate, ethereal map. The violet light highlighted symbols I couldn't comprehend, yet the central point was unmistakable. A clear X marked a location directly beneath the town hall itself. This was it, the truth Arthur had spent his life pursuing, hidden in plain sight. A sudden, ominous creak shattered the silence of the archive. My heart leapt into my throat as the heavy oak door slowly swung inward. Silhouetted against the dim light of the hallway stood Sheriff Brody, his broad shoulders filling the frame. His weathered face was grim, his eyes tired but resolute. "You need to stop this, Abigail," he stated, his voice a low, gravelly mourning, confirming his awareness of my presence. As Sheriff Brody and I faced each other in the tense silence, the harmonic geode in my hand began to vibrate violently. A low, resonant hum filled the air, growing in intensity, almost painful to my ears. The overhead lights in the archive room flickered wildly, plunging the space into chaotic bursts of light and shadow. Then, as if summoned by the geode's escalating power, a shimmering, translucent figure materialized in the doorway directly behind the sheriff. It was my grandfather, Arthur Thorne.